I watched my husband kiss my best friend through my phone screen while I sat in our bedroom, the same bedroom where he told me that morning he loved me. But here's the thing, I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't confront them. Instead, I smiled. Because in that exact moment, I realized something they hadn't figured out yet. They had just handed me the keys to destroy them both without lifting a finger. My name is Claire, and for 3 years, I watched the two people I trusted most build a lie so perfect, so calculated, that they thought they were untouchable. My husband, Marcus, 10 years of marriage, 2 kids, a mortgage, and a life we built from nothing. And my best friend, Jenna, 20 years of friendship, bridesmaid at my wedding, godmother to my daughter. They thought I was naive. They thought I didn't notice. They thought I'd never find out. They were wrong on all 3 counts. What they didn't know was that I had been watching, waiting, documenting every text, every lie, every hidden transaction, every whispered phone call that ended the second I walked into the room. And when the moment was right, I didn't expose them. I let them expose themselves. Because the best revenge isn't confrontation, it's giving someone just enough rope to hang themselves with, then watching them tie the knot. By the time they realized what was happening, it was already too late. Their lies started collapsing like dominoes. Their secrets became public. Their perfect little affair turned into a nightmare neither of them could escape. And me? I walked away with everything: my dignity, my security, my kids, and my peace. So if you've ever been betrayed by someone you loved, stick around, because this story isn't about what they did to me. It's about what they did to each other when I stopped playing defense and started playing chess. Let's begin. 10 years. That's how long Marcus and I had been married when everything started to shift. We met in college, one of those classic opposites attract stories. He was quiet, methodical, analytical. I was outgoing, spontaneous, the kind of person who made friends in grocery store lines. Together, we just worked. Or at least, I thought we did. We had 2 beautiful kids, Emma 8 and Noah 5. Marcus worked in finance, pulling long hours but always making it home for bedtime stories. I ran a small consulting business from home, which gave me flexibility but also meant I was always around, always available, always there. And Jenna? She'd been in my life even longer than Marcus, 20 years of friendship. We met in high school, survived college together, and when I got married, there was never a question. She was my maid of honor. When Emma was born, I asked Jenna to be her godmother. That's how close we were. She was family. Or so I thought. Looking back now, I can pinpoint the exact moment things started to change. It was subtle, so subtle I almost missed it. It started about 3 years ago. Marcus began working later, not every night, but enough that it became a pattern. Big project, he'd say. The team's counting on me. I didn't question it. Why would I? He'd always been ambitious. Then Jenna started pulling away. She'd cancel plans last minute, girls' nights, coffee dates, even Emma's birthday party. Work's crazy, she'd text. Rain check? I told myself it was life. People get busy, friendships ebb and flow. But then came the small things, the things that don't make sense until you line them all up. Marcus stopped kissing me goodbye in the mornings. It became a quick peck, then a wave, then nothing. Jenna stopped asking about my life. Our conversations became surface level. Weather, work, nothing real. Marcus's phone became an extension of his hand, face down, always face down. And if it buzzed while I was nearby, he'd grab it like it was on fire. Jenna started dressing differently, nicer, more effort. And when I complimented her, she'd brush it off with a strange smile. They were never in the same room together at family gatherings anymore. If Marcus was at a barbecue, Jenna would suddenly have other plans. If Jenna stopped by, Marcus would coincidentally need to run an errand. At first, I thought they'd had some kind of falling out, maybe a disagreement I wasn't aware of. But then, one night, Marcus came home smelling like perfume. Not my perfume, Jenna's perfume, the same vanilla and jasmine scent she'd worn for years. I didn't say anything. I just filed it away. Because confronting someone without proof, that's how you give them time to cover their tracks. So instead, I started paying attention, and what I discovered next would change everything. It was a Tuesday night when I found the first real piece of evidence. Marcus was in the shower. His phone was on the nightstand, face down as always. And for the first time in our marriage, I picked it up. My hands were shaking, not because I was scared of what I'd find, but because I knew deep down that once I looked, there was no going back. I pressed my thumb to the sensor. It unlocked, and there it was, a text thread. No name, just a heart emoji. Heart, miss you already. Tonight was perfect. Sent 2 hours ago, while I was putting the kids to bed. I scrolled up, message after message, weeks of them, months. Heart, you're seeming distant. Is everything okay? Marcus, just stressed about work. Heart, well, let me know if you need to talk. My chest tightened, my vision blurred, but I didn't cry because the number connected to that heart emoji, I recognized it. It was Jenna's. I took a breath, put the phone back exactly how I found it, face down, same angle, same position. Marcus came out of the shower, towel around his waist, smiling. You okay, babe? You look pale. I smiled back. Just tired, long day. He kissed my forehead, and I let him, because I needed time. Time to think, time to plan. That night, I lay in bed next to him, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. How long had this been going on? How many times had she been in my house, playing with my kids, lying to my face? How many times had he kissed me goodnight and then texted her? But more importantly, what was I going to do about it? I could scream, throw his phone at the wall, pack his bags, call her, and unleash everything I was feeling, but that's what they'd expect. That's what they were probably prepared for. No, I needed to be smarter than that. So instead, I started documenting. Every late night, every suspicious text, every time his location didn't match his story. I installed a location tracker on his phone under the guise of family safety. He didn't even blink. I set up a separate cloud account and forwarded every suspicious email, every bank statement, every receipt. And I started asking questions, casually, carefully. Hey Marcus, how was that work dinner last Thursday? Good, boring client stuff. Except his location that night, a hotel downtown, the same hotel Jenna had posted about on Instagram with the caption, treating myself to a solo staycation. Solo, right. I took a screenshot, added it to the folder. Then I started watching Jenna more closely too. I invited her to coffee. She came, reluctantly. You've been so distant lately, I said, stirring my latte, keeping my tone light. Everything okay? She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Yeah, just work stress, you know? I get it. Marcus has been swamped too. I barely see him anymore. She shifted in her seat. That must be hard. It is, I said, watching her face, but I trust him. I mean, if I can't trust my husband, who can I trust, right? Her smile faltered, just for a second, but I saw it. And that's when I knew she felt guilty. Not guilty enough to stop, but guilty enough to slip. And guilty people, they make mistakes. So I kept playing the role, the naive wife, the trusting friend, and I waited. Because I wasn't just collecting evidence anymore, I was setting a trap, and they were about to walk right into it. What would you do in my position? Let me know in the comments. Over the next few weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. On the surface, I was the same Claire, making breakfast, helping with homework, smiling at Marcus when he kissed me goodbye. But underneath, I was a detective, a strategist, a woman who had been betrayed, and I wasn't going to let them get away with it. I started noticing patterns. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Marcus would work late. And every Tuesday and Thursday, Jenna would post Instagram stories from vague locations, coffee shops, bookstores, parks, never her apartment, never anywhere identifiable. But thanks to the tracker I'd installed on Marcus's phone, I knew exactly where he was. And shocker, it matched Jenna's posts every single time. One Thursday night, I decided to test something. Hey, Marcus, I said casually over dinner. I was thinking of planning a surprise party for Jenna's birthday next month. Maybe we could all go out. You, me, the kids, her? He froze, fork halfway to his mouth. I don't know if she is around that weekend, he said quickly. I think she mentioned a work trip. Oh, really? I tilted my head, all innocence. I didn't say anything to me. Maybe I'm wrong, he backtracked. You should ask her. Interesting. So I did. I texted Jenna, coffee tomorrow? I want to plan something fun for your birthday. Her response took 20 minutes. 20 minutes for a message that should have taken 20 seconds. Jenna, you're so sweet, but I might be traveling for work that week. I'll let you know. Traveling for work. Except 2 hours earlier, she'd posted a selfie with the caption, "Finally a quiet weekend ahead." They were coordinating their lies, but they weren't coordinating them well. And that's when I realized something. They were getting sloppy, overconfident. They thought they'd gotten away with it for so long that they'd stopped being careful. And that's exactly what I was counting on. I started pushing a little harder. I scheduled a girls' night with Jenna and a few mutual friends. She almost said no. I'm so busy lately. But I insisted. Come on, I feel like we barely see each other anymore. I miss my best friend. She caved. Guilt does that. That night, over wine and laughter, I watched her. Every glance at her phone, every forced smile, every time she checked out of the conversation. At one point, her phone buzzed. She grabbed it immediately, then relaxed. I leaned over. Everything okay? Yeah, she said quickly. Just work. But I'd seen the name on the screen. Marcus. I excused myself to the bathroom and pulled out my own phone. I checked the tracker. Marcus was supposed to be at a client dinner across town, but his location? 2 blocks away, at a bar, waiting for her to finish girls' night so they could meet up. I felt the rage bubble up, but I swallowed it down, because this wasn't the time. Not yet. I returned to the table, smiling, laughing, pretending I knew my husband was around the corner, texting my best friend while I sat with her, pretending everything was fine. And when the night ended, I hugged Jenna goodbye. Love you, I said. Love you too, she replied. Liar. That night, I went home. Marcus was already there, sitting on the couch, watching TV. How was girls' night? He asked. Great, I said. Jenna seemed distracted, though. I hope she's okay. He didn't even flinch. I'm sure she's fine. I sat down next to him, rested my head on his shoulder. I'm lucky to have you, I said softly. He kissed the top of my head. I'm lucky to have you too. And I felt nothing, because the man I married, he was gone, and the person sitting next to me was a stranger. But that stranger didn't know that I was 3 steps ahead, and by the time he figured it out, it would be too late. If there's one thing I learned from my years in consulting, it's this. Money always tells the truth. People can lie with words. They can fake emotions. They can cover their tracks. But money? Money leaves a trail. So I started looking at ours. Marcus and I had always kept joint accounts. We believed in transparency. What's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. We checked in on finances together, made big decisions together. Or at least, that's what I thought. One Sunday afternoon, while Marcus was out running errands, I logged into our bank accounts. And that's when I saw it. Charges I didn't recognize. Small at first. $50 here, $80 there. Coffee shops, restaurants. A florist. A florist. Marcus hadn't bought me flowers in 3 years, but apparently someone was. I dug deeper. Hotel charges. Not business hotels, boutique ones, romantic ones, the kind of places you take someone when you want to impress them. All within the last 6 months. And then I found the credit card I didn't know about. It was in his name only, opened 8 months ago. And the statement? It was a highlight reel of their affair. Dinners at upscale restaurants, weekend getaways to wine country, jewelry purchases. Thousands of dollars. Our money. Money we'd saved for Emma's college fund, for family vacations, for our future. He was spending it on her. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the charges. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to call him right then and confront him. But I didn't, because this was evidence, and evidence was power. I took screenshots of everything, every charge, every date, every amount. I saved them in my private cloud account, the one he didn't know existed. Then I started cross-referencing. A charge at a restaurant on March 12th. I checked my calendar. That was the night he said he was working late. A hotel charge on April 3rd. That was the weekend he had a conference. Every lie had a receipt. Literally. But here's where it got interesting. I noticed charges at the same boutique hotel 3 times in 2 months, always on a Thursday night. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I called the hotel. "Hi," I said, keeping my voice bright and friendly. "My husband stayed at your hotel a few weeks ago, and he left his watch in the room. I was wondering if it was turned in to Lost and Found." The receptionist was kind. "Of course, let me check. What was the name on the reservation?" "Marcus Holland." Clicking sounds. Yes, I see Mr. Holland has stayed with us several times, but unfortunately we don't have any items logged under his name. I'm so sorry." "No problem," I said. "Just one more question. Was the room under his name only, or was there a guest listed?" More clicking. "Let me see. Yes, there was a second guest, a Miss Jenna Cartwright." My stomach dropped, but I kept my voice steady. "Perfect. Thank you so much for your help." I hung up. There it was. Confirmation. Not just suspicion, not just circumstantial evidence. They had checked into a hotel together, multiple times, under their real names. They were that arrogant, that reckless. And now, I had it all. Bank statements, hotel records, location data, text messages. But I still wasn't ready to move, because I realized something else as I stared at those credit card charges. Marcus wasn't just cheating, he was bleeding us dry. And if I confronted him now, he'd have time to hide assets, to move money, to protect himself. No, I needed to be smarter. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I called a lawyer, not to file for divorce, not yet, but to understand my options, to protect myself, to make sure that when the time came, I'd walk away with everything I was entitled to. The lawyer listened to my story, looked at my evidence, and then she smiled. "Mrs. Holland, you've built one hell of a case." "Good," I said, "because I'm not done yet." Her name was Angela Reeves, and she was exactly the kind of lawyer you want in your corner. Sharp, ruthless, and absolutely no nonsense. We met in her office on a Wednesday afternoon. Marcus thought I was at a work meeting. Technically, I wasn't lying. Angela spread my evidence across her desk like a prosecutor preparing for trial. "This is good," she said, flipping through screenshots. "Really good. Text messages, location data, financial records, hotel confirmations. You've got everything." "So what now?" I asked. She leaned back in her chair, studying me. "That depends. What do you want?" "I want out," I said. "I want my kids, I want financial security, and I want to make sure he doesn't get to rewrite history and play the victim." Angela nodded. "Then here's what we do. First, we secure your assets, quietly. We open accounts in your name only, transfer funds gradually so it doesn't raise red flags. We document every shared asset, every debt, every investment. And then we wait, because right now you have the element of surprise. He thinks you don't know, and as long as he thinks that, he'll keep making mistakes." "How long do I wait?" "Until you have everything you need to ensure there's no ambiguity in court. Custody, assets, alimony, we make sure it's airtight. And then, when the time is right, we file." She slid a folder across the desk. "In the meantime, I need you to do a few things." Over the next hour, she walked me through the plan. I'd start transferring money from our joint account into a separate savings account. Small amounts, nothing that would trigger suspicion. Emergency fund, I'd call it if Marcus asked. I'd document every interaction with Jenna and Marcus. Dates, times, conversations. If they said they were somewhere, I'd verify it. If they lied, I'd record it. I'd keep playing the role of the unsuspecting wife. No confrontations, no accusations, just patience. This is going to be hard, Angela warned. You're going to have to sit across from him at dinner, smile, pretend everything's fine, all while knowing what he's doing. I've been doing that for months, I said quietly. She nodded. Then a few more won't kill you, but it will destroy him. I left her office that day feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time: control. For months, I'd been reacting, discovering, hurting. But now I was acting, and it felt powerful. Over the next few weeks, I executed Angela's plan to perfection. I transferred money, small amounts, $200 here, $300 there. Marcus never noticed. I started keeping a journal. Every lie, every inconsistency, every time his story didn't match reality. March 14th, Marcus said he was at a work dinner. Location tracker showed he was at Jenna's apartment building from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. March 21st, Jenna canceled plans with me, said she was sick. Instagram story posted at 9 p.m. from a restaurant downtown. Marcus's credit card charged at the same restaurant, same time. The evidence piled up, and so did their mistakes. Because here's the thing about liars: the longer they get away with it, the more careless they become. One night, Marcus left his laptop open. I walked by, casually glanced at the screen, and saw an email from Jenna. Subject: this weekend. I can't keep doing this, Em. I hate lying to her. I hate sneaking around. When are you going to tell her? His response, half-typed: soon, I just need to figure out the right way. She'll be devastated and I don't want to hurt her more than... I didn't read the rest, because it didn't matter. He was planning to leave me, and she was pushing him to do it. That night, lying in bed next to him, I made a decision. I wasn't going to wait for him to leave me. I was going to burn their little fantasy to the ground first. But not yet. Not until I had every last piece in place, because when I finally made my move, I wanted it to be devastating, and I was almost ready. What would you do at this point? Would you confront them or keep waiting? Drop your thoughts below. It was a Friday night when everything started to unravel. Not for me, but for them. Marcus came home late again. No surprise there, but this time he looked off, tired, stressed, the kind of stress that comes from juggling too many lies. Long week? I asked, pouring him a glass of wine. Yeah, he muttered, loosening his tie. Work's been brutal. Anything I can help with? He shook his head. Nah, just need to get through the next few weeks. Interesting phrasing, the next few weeks. I filed it away. The next morning, Jenna called me, for the first time in weeks. Hey, she said, voice too bright, too forced. I feel like we haven't talked in forever. Want to grab brunch? Every instinct told me to say no, to protect myself, to avoid the woman who'd been sleeping with my husband. But I didn't, because I needed to see her face. We met at a cafe downtown. She was already there when I arrived, fidgeting with her phone, looking more anxious than I'd ever seen her. Hey, I said, sliding into the booth, all smiles. You okay? You seem tense. I'm fine, she said quickly, just a lot going on. Work stuff? She hesitated. Yeah, and personal stuff. Want to talk about it? For a moment, I thought she would actually confess. I saw it in her eyes, the guilt, the exhaustion, the weight of the secret. But then she shook her head. It's nothing. I'll figure it out. You know you can tell me anything, right? I reached across the table, squeezing her hand. We've been friends for 20 years. There's nothing you could say that would change that. She pulled her hand back, looked away. I know, she whispered. Liar. We made small talk for the rest of brunch, surface-level nonsense, and the entire time I watched her, the way she checked her phone every 2 minutes, the way she avoided eye contact, the way she smiled but it never reached her eyes. She was crumbling, and she didn't even realize it. As we said goodbye, she hugged me, tight, desperate. I love you, Claire, she said. I love you too, I replied, and I meant it. I loved the friend she used to be, but the woman standing in front of me, I didn't know her anymore. That night, I checked Marcus's location tracker. He was at Jenna's apartment, on a Saturday night when he told me he was meeting a college buddy for drinks. I could have called him, could have driven over there, could have kicked down the door and confronted them both, but I didn't because I knew something they didn't. They were falling apart. I saw it in Marcus's stress. I saw it in Jenna's guilt. The affair that had once been exciting, thrilling, forbidden was now suffocating them. And I didn't need to destroy them. They were going to destroy each other. I just needed to give them a little push. So I did something calculated, something small, but effective. The next day, I posted a photo on social media, a family photo. Me, Marcus, Emma, and Noah, all of us smiling at the camera. Caption, 10 years of marriage and it just keeps getting better. So grateful for this man and the life we've built together. Heart. I tagged Marcus. Within minutes, the comments poured in. You two are couple goals. So happy for you guys. Love this. And then I saw it. Jenna liked the post, but 2 minutes later, she unliked it, then liked it again. She was spiraling. Because here's the thing, when you're the other woman and the wife is posting happy family photos, it forces you to confront reality. You're not the priority, you're the secret. And Jenna was realizing that. I could almost hear the argument they'd have later. When are you going to leave her? It's complicated. You said that 6 months ago. I need more time. And time was exactly what I wasn't going to give them, because the final phase of my plan was about to begin, and it would change everything. I'd been patient for months, watching, waiting, collecting evidence like a prosecutor building a case. But patience has a limit, and I'd reached mine. It was time to move. Not with a confrontation, no. That would give them time to coordinate, to get their story straight, to play the victims. No, I needed something more surgical, more devastating. So I made a decision. I was going to separate them. Not physically, but psychologically. I was going to make them turn on each other. And the beautiful part? I wouldn't have to do much, because people who lie together, they don't trust each other. Not really. And it only takes one crack for the whole thing to collapse. Here's what I did. First, I planted a seed with Jenna. I invited her over for coffee, just the two of us. She hesitated, but agreed. We sat in my kitchen, the same kitchen where she'd eaten 1,000 meals, laughed at 1,000 jokes, and pretended to be my friend while sleeping with my husband. I need to tell you something, I said, keeping my voice low, vulnerable, and I need you to promise not to say anything. Her eyes widened. What course? What's going on? I leaned in like I was sharing a secret. I think Marcus is seeing someone. She went pale, absolutely pale. What? No, Claire, why would you think that? I don't know, I said, shaking my head. It's just little things. He's distant. He's on his phone all the time. He comes home late, smelling like perfume. I watched her face, every micro-expression, the guilt, the panic, the fear. I'm sure it's nothing, she said quickly, too quickly. Marcus loves you. I thought so too, but I found something. What? I pulled out my phone and showed her a screenshot, one I'd carefully edited. It was a text message from Marcus's phone. I can't keep doing this. She's getting suspicious. Maybe we need to take a break. But here's the thing. The message wasn't to Jenna. At least, the screenshot didn't show who it was to. I'd cropped it perfectly, just enough to plant doubt. Jenna stared at the screen. Her hands trembled. Who was that to? She asked. I don't know, I said, tears welling up. Real tears, because even though I knew the truth, it still hurt. I shouldn't have told you. I'm sorry. I didn't know who else to talk to. No, I'm glad you did, but she said, but her voice was hollow. I hugged her goodbye, and when she left, I watched through the window as she sat in her car for 10 minutes, staring at her phone. She was unraveling. Phase 1, complete. Next, I did the same thing with Marcus. That night, I casually mentioned Jenna over dinner. I'm worried about Jenna. He looked up from his plate. Why? I don't know. She's been acting strange lately, distant. And I saw her the other day with some guy I didn't recognize. His jaw tightened. What guy? I don't know, I said innocently. Tall, dark hair. They were at a restaurant downtown. She looked happy. I let that hang in the air. I'm sure it's nothing, but it's weird, right? She never mentioned she was seeing anyone. Marcus didn't respond, but I saw it. The jealousy, the suspicion, the doubt. Because even though he was cheating, the thought of her cheating on him, that gutted him. Hypocrite. Over the next few days, I watched them implode. Marcus started texting Jenna more obsessively. I could see it in the tracker, multiple visits to her apartment, longer calls, and Jenna? She started pulling away. Her texts became colder, her responses slower. They were fighting, and I didn't have to do a thing. I just sat back and watched the fire spread. Because the thing about lies, once you introduce doubt, they eat you alive from the inside out. And Marcus and Jenna, they were devouring each other, exactly as I planned. It took less than a week for everything to fall apart, and I had a front row seat. Marcus became a different person, paranoid, irritable, constantly checking his phone, then slamming it down in frustration. One night, he came home and didn't even greet me, just walked straight to the bedroom and closed the door. I gave him 10 minutes, then knocked softly. "You okay?" I asked. "Fine," he snapped. "Doesn't seem fine." He ran a hand through his hair, pacing. "Work stuff. It's just stressful. Anything I can help with?" He looked at me then, really looked at me, and for a second I thought he might actually confess, might tell me everything, might break down and apologize. But he didn't. "No," he said. "I just need some space." "Okay," I said softly, backing out of the room. And I smiled, because I knew exactly what was happening. Jenna wasn't responding to his texts. I knew because I'd been monitoring his phone activity. She'd gone from replying within minutes to leaving him on read for hours, and it was destroying him. Meanwhile, Jenna called me, crying. "Can I come over?" she asked, voice breaking. "Of course," I said. She showed up 20 minutes later, mascara streaked down her face, eyes red and swollen. "I don't know what to do," she sobbed. I made her tea, sat her down on the couch, played the role of the concerned best friend. "What happened?" I think I made a huge mistake," she said. "What kind of mistake?" She hesitated, and for a moment, I thought she might actually tell me, but she didn't. "I've been seeing someone," she said finally, "and I thought it was real. I thought he cared about me, but now I'm not so sure." "Did he do something?" "No, it's just, I don't think I'm the only one." I let that sink in, let her think I didn't understand. "What do you mean?" She whispered. "I think he's been lying to me, and I feel like such an idiot." I reached over, squeezed her hand. "You're not an idiot. People lie, especially when they have something to hide." She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. "What do I do?" I said firmly. "You walk away. If someone makes you doubt yourself, if they make you feel like you're not enough, you walk away." She nodded, wiping her eyes. And I wanted to scream at her, wanted to say, "You're crying over my husband. You destroyed my marriage, and now you want sympathy?" But I didn't, because she was exactly where I needed her to be. Broken, doubting, spiraling. The next day, things escalated. I was making lunch when Marcus's phone rang. He was in the shower, and the name on the screen was Jenna. I stared at it, let it ring, watched it go to voicemail. Then a text came through. "Jenna, we need to talk. This isn't working anymore." I put the phone back down, exactly where it was. When Marcus came out, he checked his phone immediately. I watched his face go white. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah," he said, but his voice cracked. He left the house 20 minutes later, told me he had to run an errand, but I knew exactly where he was going, to her, and I knew exactly what was about to happen. They were going to fight, blame each other, accuse each other of being careless, of putting everything at risk, and once they started turning on each other, it was only a matter of time before the whole thing collapsed. I sat down with my tea, opened my laptop, and reviewed my evidence folder one more time. Text messages, bank statements, hotel records, photos, testimonies from the hotel staff, everything I needed. And tomorrow? Tomorrow I'd take the final step, because they'd destroyed themselves. Now it was time to make it official. I didn't confront them the way they expected. No screaming, no throwing things, no dramatic showdown in front of friends and family. I did it quietly, strategically, legally. On a Monday morning, while Marcus was at work and the kids were at school, I made 3 phone calls. The first was to Angela, my lawyer. "It's time," I said. "You're sure?" "Positive." "Then let's do this." The second call was to my bank. I moved the rest of my secured funds into my personal account. Everything I'd quietly been transferring over the last few months, now consolidated, protected, untouchable. The third call was to a process server. By noon, Marcus had been served divorce papers at his office. He called me 30 seconds later. I didn't answer. He called again, and again. I let it ring. Then came the text. "What the hell is this? You're divorcing me? We need to talk about this. Claire, answer your phone, now." I waited 10 minutes. Then I replied, "There's nothing to talk about. You'll hear from my lawyer." "This is insane. You can't just do this." "I can, and I am." He showed up at the house an hour later, bursting through the door, red-faced, furious. "What the hell is going on?" he shouted. I was sitting on the couch, calm, composed. I'd been preparing for this moment for months. "Lower your voice," I said evenly. "The neighbors don't need to hear this." "You filed for divorce without even talking to me?" "What was there to talk about, Marcus? Our marriage? Our family?" I stood up, looked him dead in the eyes. "Our marriage?" I repeated. "You mean the marriage where you've been sleeping with my best friend for the last year?" He froze. The color drained from his face. What? "No, Claire, I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't," I said sharply. "Don't insult me by lying right now." "I'm not." I pulled out my phone, opened the evidence folder, and held it up. "Do you want to see the text messages, the hotel receipts, the bank statements, or maybe the witness testimony from the hotel staff who confirmed you checked in multiple times with Jenna Cartwright?" His mouth opened, closed. No words came out. "I know everything, Marcus," I said, my voice steady, cold. "I've known for months, and I've been collecting evidence while you and Jenna played house behind my back." "Claire, please." "No," I cut him off. "You don't get to please me. You don't get to apologize. You don't get to explain. I made a mistake." "A mistake?" I laughed bitterly. "A mistake is forgetting to take out the trash. A mistake is double booking a meeting. This was a choice, over and over and over again, for a year." He sank onto the couch, head in his hands. "I'm sorry. I don't care. Claire, I love you." "No, you don't." My voice didn't waver. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. If you loved our family, you wouldn't have risked it for someone who's supposed to be my best friend." He looked up at me, eyes red. "What about the kids?" "The kids will be fine, because I'm going to protect them from this mess. You get to explain to them why Daddy doesn't live here anymore." "You can't do this." "I already did." He stood up, frantic now. "I'll fight this. I'll fight you in court." I smiled, a cold, calculated smile. "Go ahead. I have a lawyer who's very good at her job, and I have evidence that will bury you." "What do you want?" he asked desperately. "Money? The house? What?" "I want you out of my life," I said simply. "I want custody of the kids, I want financial security, and I want you to live with the consequences of what you did." He stared at me, broken, defeated. "What about Jenna?" he asked quietly. I tilted my head. "What about Jenna? Does she know? Did you tell her?" "Not yet, but she will." And then I walked to the door, opened it. "You need to leave now." He hesitated, then slowly walked out. And as I closed the door behind him, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Relief. Jenna found out the next day. Not from me, not from Marcus, from social media. Because even though I'd kept the divorce filing quiet, word travels fast in small circles. And someone, probably someone at Marcus's office, posted something vague but telling on Facebook. Prayers for the Holland family during this difficult time. That's all it took. Within hours, mutual friends were reaching out to me. OMG, are you okay? I just heard, I'm so sorry. If you need anything, I'm here. And Jenna? She called me. I answered. Claire? Her voice was shaking. What's going on? Someone told me you filed for divorce? I did, I said calmly. Silence. Why? She asked quietly. You know why. More silence. Claire, Don't, I interrupted. Don't lie to me anymore. I know about you and Marcus. I heard her breath catch. Then, quietly, how long have you known? Long enough. I'm so sorry. No, you're not, I said, my voice steady, cold. If you were sorry, you would have stopped. You would have told me. But you didn't. You kept going. You kept lying to my face while sleeping with my husband. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Jenna? Explain it to me. Make me understand how my best friend of 20 years justifies screwing my husband. She started crying. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did. Nothing just happens, I said. You made a choice. Every time you answered his texts, every time you met up with him, every time you lied to me, those were choices. I know, she sobbed. I know, and I hate myself for it. Good, I said, flatly. You should. Claire, please. What do you want me to say, Jenna? That I forgive you? That we can move past this? I don't know, she whispered. I don't want to lose you. I almost laughed. You lost me the second you betrayed me. Is there anything I can do? No. I'll do anything. There's nothing to do. The damage is done, and now you get to live with it. What about Marcus? She asked quietly. What about him? Are you going to destroy him? I don't need to. You two are doing a pretty good job of that yourselves. She went quiet. Then, he told me he loved me. He told me the same thing, and yet, here we are. I think he was lying to me, she said, voice breaking. I think I was just something to pass the time. And there it was, the thing I'd been waiting for. She was realizing the truth, that she wasn't special, that Marcus didn't leave me for her because he didn't actually want her. He just wanted the thrill of the affair. And now that it was exposed, she was disposable. Probably, I said simply. I ruined everything, she whispered. Yes, you did. I'm so sorry, Claire. I know you are. But sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't undo the damage. Sorry doesn't give me back the year you stole from me. She sobbed on the other end of the line, and part of me, just a small part, felt bad for her. But the bigger part, the part that'd been lied to, betrayed, humiliated, that part felt nothing. Goodbye, Jenna, I said. Wait. I hung up, blocked her number, deleted her from every social media platform, erased her from my life. Because forgiveness, that's for people who deserve it. And she didn't. 2 days later, I heard from a mutual friend that Jenna and Marcus had a massive fight, screaming match in a parking lot, accusations thrown, blame assigned. They were imploding, publicly. And I wasn't even surprised, because that's what happens when a relationship is built on lies. It collapses the second the truth comes out. And the best part? I didn't have to do anything. They destroyed themselves, exactly as I knew they would. The divorce took 4 months. 4 months of legal battles, custody negotiations, and asset division. But Angela was right. I'd built an airtight case. Marcus tried to fight me, tried to claim I was being unreasonable, that I was punishing him, but the evidence spoke for itself. And in the end, the judge sided with me. I got primary custody of Emma and Noah. Marcus got supervised visitation until he could prove stability. I got the house, he got to find a new place to live. I got 60% of our shared assets. He got to figure out how to rebuild his finances after hemorrhaging money on his affair. And the alimony? Let's just say I won't be struggling anytime soon. But more than the legal victories, more than the financial security, I got my peace back. Because for the first time in over a year, I wasn't pretending. I wasn't watching over my shoulder. I wasn't living in a house full of lies. I was free. The kids struggled at first. Of course they did. Divorce is hard, no matter how you frame it. But I was honest with them, age appropriately, of course. I told them that sometimes adults make mistakes, that Daddy and I weren't going to be together anymore, but that we both still loved them. I didn't tell them about the affair. Not yet. Maybe one day when they're older. But for now, I protected them from the ugliness. And slowly, we adjusted. Emma started smiling again. Noah stopped asking when Daddy was coming home. We created new routines, new traditions, new memories that weren't tainted by betrayal. And me? I started rebuilding. I threw myself into my consulting business, took on new clients, expanded my services. I reconnected with old friends, real friends who hadn't betrayed me. I started therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to process everything that had happened, to make sure I didn't carry that pain into the next chapter of my life. And I started rediscovering who I was outside of being Marcus's wife. I took a painting class, went on weekend trips with the kids, read books I'd been meaning to read for years. I even went on a few dates. Nothing serious, just dipping my toes back into the world of trusting someone new. And it felt good. It felt like living again. As for Marcus and Jenna, they lasted 3 more months after the divorce was finalized. Turns out, when you build a relationship on secrecy and lies, it doesn't survive in the daylight. They fought constantly, blamed each other for everything falling apart. And eventually, Jenna ended it. I heard through the grapevine that she moved to another state, started over somewhere new, away from the judgment, the whispers, the consequences. And Marcus? He's still in town, still trying to rebuild his reputation, still explaining to people why his marriage fell apart. But the truth always comes out. And now everyone knows. Do I feel bad for them? No. Do I think about them? Rarely. Because here's the thing I learned through all of this. The best revenge isn't destruction. It's indifference. It's moving on. It's thriving. It's building a life so full and so beautiful that the people who hurt you become irrelevant. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't destroy Marcus and Jenna. I didn't have to. They destroyed each other. And I walked away stronger, wiser, and completely at peace. So that's my story. The story of how I discovered my husband and my best friend were having an affair, and how I didn't confront them, didn't scream, didn't fall apart. Instead, I watched. I waited, I collected evidence, and I let them destroy themselves. Because the truth is, people who lie, who cheat, who betray, they always slip up eventually. They always turn on each other. They always implode. And when they do, you don't need to lift a finger. You just need to be smart, strategic, patient. And when the time is right, you strike. Not with rage, not with revenge, but with clarity. You take back your life. You protect yourself. You walk away with your dignity intact. And you let them live with the consequences. If you're watching this and you've been betrayed, whether by a partner, a friend, or someone you trusted, I want you to know this. You are stronger than you think. You are smarter than they give you credit for. And you will survive this. Take your time, protect yourself, gather your evidence, and when you're ready, make your move. Don't let them rewrite the story. Don't let them play the victim. Take control. Take your power back and walk away knowing you did everything right. If this story resonated with you, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment telling me what you would have done in my situation, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because stories like this, they're not just about revenge. They're about survival, about resilience, about refusing to be broken by the people who tried to break you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And remember, you're stronger than you know. I'll see you in the next one.